Hi, kindergartners and families. Today's reading lesson will use our MyView Unit 4 book again. You will also need a tool to underline and something to highlight with. So again, a highlighter if you have one, or a crayon or a marker will work. We will be rereading the story Changing Laws, Changing Lives, Martin Luther King Jr. On pages 142 and 151. So 142 to page 151. We will be talking about and thinking about two things today. The first is text features. If you look at page 140 and 141, you'll see an anchor chart that discusses narrative nonfiction and 3 text features: the title, the picture, and a timeline. Should look like that. The second thing we will be doing today during our story is asking and answering questions. So during our close read, we will ask some questions where we will have to find the answer by going back into the text and highlighting where we found the answer. Let's go ahead and get started. Turn to page 143 in your MyView book.
Changing Laws, Changing Lives, Martin Luther King Jr., written by Eric Velasquez. Martin Luther King Jr. was born in 1929. He lived in Atlanta, Georgia. Martin grew up to be an important man. During his life, he saw African Americans being treated unfairly. He wanted to help them. African Americans could not drink from some fountains. They could not eat at some tables. They could not sit at the front of a bus. They could not even play with some of their friends. Close read. How were African Americans treated at restaurants long ago? Highlight the words.
Okay, for this close read, they asked us a question. The question is, how were African Americans treated at restaurants long ago? So if I go back one page to page 146, this is the page that talks about restaurants. And I can reread the text, and it says, African Americans could not drink from some fountains. They could not eat at some tables. So the answer to how are they treated at restaurants is that last sentence. They could not eat at some tables. So I'm going to highlight that sentence. Go ahead and highlight in your book on page 146 and then turn the page.
Martin was sad. He would change things. He marched. He made speeches. Now people drink from any fountain. People eat at any table. Close read. How are people treated at restaurants today? Highlight the words. Use the picture too.
So here is our next ask and answer question for our close read. The question is, how are people treated at restaurants today? We know that long ago, some people were not allowed to eat at some of the tables. Today, people can eat at any table. So I look at the last sentence again. It says, people eat at any table. I'm going to highlight that last sentence. Go ahead and highlight that sentence with me now, and then turn the page.
People sit anywhere on a bus. People can be friends with anyone. Martin made our country better. Timeline: Martin Luther King Jr. 1929. Is born in Atlanta. 1955. Leads a bus boycott. 1963. Gives famous "I Have a Dream" speech. 1964. Is awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. 1965. Marches in a protest. 1968. Dies in Memphis. Close read. Underline the parts of the timeline that tell when the events happened.
So a timeline tells the important events of the life of a person. So on this page, we are learning about events of Martin Luther King Jr.'s life. And right here in the middle, in red, are each of the years that tell an important event. So here we have 1929. I'm not going to be able to underline it. Go. So I'm going to underline the year 1929. In that year, he was born in Atlanta. The next year is in red. It's 1955. So I will underline 1955. And he led a bus boycott during that year. The next year is 1963. And in 1963, he gave his famous speech, "I Have a Dream." 1964, he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. In 1965, he marches in a protest, and then he died in 1968. So we are underlining each of the years listed in this timeline. When you finish this page, go ahead and do page 155 and 156. Have a great day.